Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the basement. That's BASSMINT.
Right.
And not just ladies and gentlemen, welcome bass players around the world, bass players from Houston, bass players from Australia and all kinds of places. Welcome to the basement. And that was an awesome job. Tell us your name.
That's pretty good.
Penelope.
Penelope
Orsargos.
Penelope Orsargos, welcome to the basement. And we're going to interview you and we're going to talk about a few things. Thanks for coming to the basement. Before we get started, I'm going to introduce the other panel of basses here. Starting on my, that way. That's my left. We have with us, tell us your names, huh?
Mr. Steve Burkhalter.
Steve Burkhalter, Detroit bass player. That also works for Bass Gear Magazine. Thank you for coming.
Well, I'm kind of a contributor. I'm not really on staff or something, so let's just...
Okay, well, let's clarify that he's not on the staff. He just works with Bass Gear.
I contribute. I've written 2 articles and done photos for several other issues.
Okay, so he's not on the staff, but he works with Bass Gear Magazine. Steve Burkhalter, also a Basement alumni. I also did an interview with him. Check it out. Where you reside, brother?
Oak Park.
Okay. Next to him,
Chris Snyder.
Chris Snyder, another Basement alumni that has not been interviewed, but he will be one day. Where do you reside?
Taylor, Michigan.
Next to him, another Detroit bass player, the Basement alumni that has not been interviewed in the basement. Where do you reside?
Inkster.
Another Detroit bass player that first time in the basement, right?
First time.
Third interview that you sit in on, because we did 3 interviews today.
Yes.
So we'll probably be seeing this one in April of next year.
Sounds good.
Where do you reside?
Oak Park, Michigan.
Oak Park, Michigan. All right, now to my other side, I have my other left, which is really my right.
Look at the door.
In the back there, we have a Detroit bass player in the Basement alumni. Tell us his name.
James Formay.
He's been interviewed. Go and check his interview out. Thanks for coming, brother.
Yeah.
Next to him, tell us your name.
Sharon Martin.
Sharon Martin. She's a brand spanking new bass player, student of mine. Also the daughter of the late great Kenny Mack, and she's hanging out with us in the basement. Where do you reside?
Inkster.
You got 2 Inksters in here, and James, where do you reside?
Detroit.
Finally, Detroit.
Rock City!
A real Detroit bass player.
The motherland.
Everybody else from suburbs, but we all say Detroit. Especially if we leave town, like, where you from? Detroit?
Nobody's there.
Another student of mine, tell us your name. Terrence.
Terrence Hamlet.
Terrence Hamlet, another Detroit bass player. But you reside where?
Centerline, Michigan.
See, 1 Detroit bass player so far. Ed, tell us your name.
Ed Tate.
Ed Tate, another Detroit bass player. Where do you reside, brother?
Farmington Hills.
Farmington Hills. Did you have water issues the other day?
Yes.
I'm sorry to hear that, but I'm glad it's back on, right?
Pain in the butt. Well, it's on. Mine never went off, but the contamination worry was what had everybody scared. So, boil alert, basically.
Yeah.
And I think we're still on it. I think.
Well, stay on it, man.
I work in Farmington Hills. We were like It was bad all week.
Oh, really? Oh, God. Yeah.
Okay, so next to Ed is he came all the way from Houston, Texas to see us. The HBP, which is a Houston-based player. Tell us your name.
Ricky Gibbons.
Ricky Gibbons came all the way from Houston to see us because his job made him come to Toledo. But I like to say he came all the way just to see us. It sounds so much better like that.
Yeah.
Now, and then next to him, tell us your name.
Bob Magid.
Bob Magis?
Magid.
Magic.
Or you can call me Magic Man. That's what everybody thinks it's.
Okay, he is a keyboard player. Where do you reside, brother?
I'm in West Bloomfield.
West Bloomfield.
Yep.
You had the water issues too, didn't you?
We did. Yeah, it's still on right now.
Wow. No wonder everybody in the basement today, they ain't got no water.
Right.
Next to him, we have, what's the establishing name?
Reginald Canty.
The owner of the basement, and thank you so much for allowing us to come into your basement. Over 300 interviews later, we never counted how many interviews we did in here, but we're gonna go back and count one day how many interviews we did
All right.
in this basement with some awesome bass players, beginners, and what I call pros and Joes. And next to him is his grandson. Tell us your name.
Emery.
Canty, Emery Canty. Then next to him is her. and tell us your name.
Cynthia Willis.
Cynthia Willis, another fine Detroit bass player. We did an interview with her. Go check it out. Next to her, tell us his name.
Pope-tastic.
Yeah.
William B. Pope the second.
William B. Pope the second.
It ain't the naked. It's just the.
I'm tired because all of these bass players I got to introduce, and I ain't even getting to the interview. And usually we stop there, and sometimes we might say myself, but Jesus Christ, they just we got them on the floor. Tell us his name.
Takashi Io.
Another Detroit bass player. I forgot the residence. Reggie, you reside in Inkster.
That's correct.
Cynthia, you reside. Where do you live?
She said in the house right now.
And Pope, where do you reside?
Pope Metropolis. Oh, you didn't know? I thought you knew.
Where is that located? Belleville. Okay, sorry about that, Takashi. Another Detroit bass player who's actually sitting on the floor. We did an interview with him. Make sure y'all check that out in January or February.
Okay.
Awesome interview, man. I hope it wasn't blurry. If it was blurry because I didn't have the automatic focus on, if it was blurry, we're going to have to do it.
Fast I was.
Float like a butterfly. Sting like a bee.
We're going to have to do it again. And the only way we can get it perfect is the same people have to show up and we got
Right.
to do it word for word. Same outfits, word for word.
I have to wear a suit again?
Yeah. and still on the floor, sitting next to him, we got with us, tell us your name.
Brother Ray Wellborn.
Oh, brother, wait.
Brother Ray.
Brother Ray, another Detroit bass
We're on
player.
the floor because we're holding it down.
That's what bass players do.
That's right.
He's also a Detroit bass player and the Basement alumni. Go check out his interview.
And I'm from Detroit, Michigan.
You from Detroit? Two Detroits in there. I forgot to say where you from, Takashi. Where you from?
Clinton Township.
Clinton Township. And then last but not least, our final last bass player sitting down. Tell his name.
Marilee.
Marilee, a Basement alumni but has not been interviewed yet. So we'll be getting to her real soon. I think she's ready. She's one of my students, and one of the things for my students to do is a recital. And so we're going to have her do her recital here in the basement one of these upcoming months, okay? And then we're going to take her recital to a bar or a jam session, you know? And I'm big-eyed, by the way, and sorry for the long intros, Penelope, but there's a lot of bass players in here today, so I'm so glad that everybody shows up, so I have to thank them for being here, and they're awesome bass players from all levels of bass bassness and
Based them.
and
Hope them.
Right.
and they all expert questioners and bass panelists, so that's why I'm glad everybody's here. So, Penelope, thank you for coming to the basement.
Thanks for having me. I don't know why I haven't come before. This is really cool.
Well, that is awesome that you came. I remember I met you at Detroit Bass Players photo shoot in front of the Motown Museum
I remember that.
this past summer, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, I saw her with the bass. Is that the same bass you had?
Yes, it is.
The Icky Trump bass?
Yeah.
And you know, I introduced myself to her, and I was like, "Hey, you got to come to the basement." And she looked at me like, "Okay, I can almost better spell BASS, man, because all of those bass players and stuff." And she had no idea what it was, and now you know.
Now I know.
And so far, what do you think so far?
It's pretty cool.
That's awesome. Okay, so the first question I usually like to ask is, when did you start playing the bass? And
I started playing around this time, like fall of 2011. I've done music my whole life, but bass was newer. I've been singing since I was 3 years old. And I wanted to play the drums, I wanted to play guitar, and then somehow I ended up with bass. I was always trying to get into different bands. And so this one band, they were looking for a bass player. They didn't need a singer, and I couldn't find a band that needed a singer. So this band was like, you know, we're in desperate need for a bass player, and I was like, so I can learn. I'll learn real quick before your gigs, and I'll be your bass player. Because I just wanted to be in a band.
okay, what's the name of the band? Let's go on here and give them a shout out.
They were called the Stale Crackers. They're no longer around, but it was like all a bunch of kids at the time, like around my age. We're all between probably 14 and 18. And they did a bunch of cover songs and played parties and street fairs and things like that. But their manager is a bass player, and he gave me lessons. So I would go to I was a rower in high school, so I'd go to morning practice, I'd go to school all day, I'd go to practice after school, and then around 10 o'clock at night, I'd go to his house and get bass lessons for like 2 hours. And of course, you know, as a kid, you don't appreciate it as much, but like now I'm like, you know, that was really cool. So all the lessons I got were from him during crunch time and trying to learn all these songs to play.
Well, what's his name? Let's give him a shout out.
Stephen Polisek.
Okay, we got to give him a shout out, because if he sees this and he's like, why does she not mention my name?
Is he a Detroit
By
bass
all
player?
means.
Is he a Detroit bass
Yeah,
player?
he lives like right down the street from me. I should invite him to.
You tell him he's needed in the basement, because you know my goal is to interview every single last bass player that's from Detroit, that's been through Detroit, that can say Detroit. I need them all. We trying to interview every single last one of them, and I think you're like number 314 or something like that. So we got 9,700 more to go. So now, so you started playing bass with the band, and you've been playing it ever since.
Yep. After that, I got into an all-girl punk rock band, and I went back and forth between playing bass and singing because it is very difficult to do them together. Because there was another girl that played, so we would switch back and forth. And then I left that band because band politics. But
It happens. It happens to us all.
Let's do a round table on that.
But yeah, and so I haven't been in a band since that one, and I kind of took a break from doing any public gigs or anything public with music to get a bachelor's degree. So I just got that.
And what subject?
English with a minor in Japanese.
Okay, that is awesome. I've been following you ever since on Facebook ever since we met that day, and I saw that you were working on that, and you get to hang out with some awesome people too. Like I saw you. Who was that? I saw you with that famous person. I saw you hanging out with.
You?
No.
Oh, that's what
Somebody. It was an actor, or it was the actor or singer.
Oh, Ringo Starr.
Yeah, Ringo Starr.
Just Ringo Starr.
Who's the biggest legend?
Just Ringo Starr.
Wait. She's not finished. Come on.
So I studied under a professor, and he's like an international poet and musician, and he's really cool. But he played the world's best prank on me because I'm a huge Beatles fan. And so I was sitting in his class one day, and there's all these cameras in the classroom, and I'm like, what is going on, ML? And he's like, Penelope, you need to like not freak out. There's a celebrity coming in today to talk to the class, and I need you to remain calm. So instantly Ringo Starr walks through the door, and I'm like bursting in tears, like the whole Beatles mania, like, Ringo Starr! My dog is named Ringo Starr, so like I'm like freaking out, and I'm just like this sobbing mess in the back of the classroom.
And they captured that?
And yeah, it's all. And then he sat in front of the class, and we could ask questions for 2 hours, and we just talked to him, and I'm like, yes. And then at the end, I went up and I got his autograph. I'm giving him a hug. I'm still sobbing at this point, like, oh my god. And then we're about to leave because it was a performance art class, and he's like, so, I'm not really Ringo Starr. He's like, I'm the, like, the Beatles band that tours now. Yeah. He's the Ringo Starr for them, but he's not legit.
My name is Bingo Farr.
So I went from having like the best day of my life to being so angry. I left. But that professor made up for it though. He took me to England for a semester to study, and so I got to sit on John Lennon's bed and play the piano in Paul McCartney's house. And then I had the best day.
That's happened to me before. Once, I was with some people, and we were drinking a bottle of VSOP Hennessy. That's what the bottle said, right? And then after we drink it, he tells me that was some bourbon or some kind of whiskey that was in there instead of with the. I thought it was. So my high went from a Hennessy high to a. To like a wild turkey high, whatever it was.
He said, man, this like champagne high.
In other words, I know how you feel. Okay, I know how you feel. So I ain't really want to keep you because I knew you had I knew that you had a short bass story, and I just wanted to share that. I just want to let everybody know to watch this. That if you a Detroit bass player or the suburbs, and even if you can't play that well, you just started, or if you're a great player, come and let us interview you in the basement because we get everybody. She's living proof that I grabbed her off the street at the Motown Museum, and she came and she said, "Yes, I'll do the interview with you." And her bass story isn't that long, but I'm sure her story is the rest of her life story is an awesome story. And I just wanted to know if anybody have any questions before I have her play us out.
What are you going to do with that degree?
Good question, because I currently work at a law firm that has nothing to do with my degree.
Why did you pick the Music Man bass?
This was actually a gift. My ex got it for me, and it's just so neat I couldn't give it away.
So you have to put an Iggy Trump sticker on it?
So once we broke up, I just covered it in stickers and made it more my own.
Yeah. Now that you're done, you're going to go back to gigging?
Definitely. I feel like I'm out of my musical purgatory and ready to pick it back up.
And that's not the only instrument she plays, folks. So if you need variety, she plays the bass. What other instruments she plays?
I have a drum set in my room. I'm still learning the drums, but I don't know. I've never had like a music teacher or mentor, so besides like Stephen Polisek when I was in the band, so everything I do is kind of what I've learned.
Okay. What other instruments you play besides bass and drums?
I also play a little guitar. I have like 6 guitars in my room.
Wow. She's got it.
My whole room is taken over.
So little can mean two things. When you say little guitar, is it like tiny, or you just, or is it you don't play it that much?
I don't play it that much. Like the majority of what I do is singing. So
Manager.
that's.
Anybody else have any questions for this fine bassist?
What's your favorite style of music?
Rock and roll.
All right.
It's got to be rock.
Favorite rock song?
Oh, I can't even.
Come on now, you gotta be close.
Spice Girls.
First song that you ever played.
The first song I ever learned
First
on
rock song that
bass
you learned on bass.
was Painted Black by the Rolling Stones.
Okay.
The first album that got me into rock and roll, or even like told me that it was a thing, was Green Day's American Idiot. It was the first thing I'd ever heard that wasn't pop. So it came out when I was like in 4th grade, so I was just like, what is this?
Really?
Yeah.
That was that long? I mean,
I was born in 95.
oh, that it don't seem like that song is that old.
It is.
You can't keep
For real, America.
I feel like I need a walker to get out of here now.
Wow, that is amazing that American Idiot is 20 years old. I never looked at it like that. That's crazy.
Well, it came out in 2004, so.
Wow.
You sing as well?
Yes, like that's the main
Yes.
thing I do, yeah.
Okay.
That's like my one natural thing I have going for me. Like,
Alto?
I don't know, I just do it.
Okay.
Okay, so, anybody else have any questions? Okay, I have a question for you. Who are some of your favorite bass players?
Definitely.
By name. And if you don't know names, mention
Point.
groups.
Add them in the basement.
Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers
Yeah.
That's
is,
the reason why she's got that bass.
is
Right.
probably my all-time favorite, because when I first started bass, I was like, I don't see what the big deal is. And then I started like reading more into bass, and you know, I always listened to the Red Hot Chili Peppers, but I never really paid attention to bass lines, because for singing I always listened to the lyrics. So I started listening to the bass lines, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can do that. And then I got really interested, and I was like, well, shit, I want to do that. So I mean, I'm nowhere close to doing that, but he's definitely probably the biggest inspiration bass.
Anybody else?
Oh,
By name?
by name.
Or bass line songs? I bet somebody here can tell you who the
I
bass
really
player is.
like Muse, who I played in the opening here. I like their bass lines.
Okay.
It's
Didn't the
pretty.
Beatles have a bass player? You said you were into the Beatles.
Yes.
I was just wondering, you said you were
See,
into
I'm
the
on the
Beatles.
spot, and just like,
That's a hot seat, ain't it?
Yeah, that's called the hot
Kind of
seat.
scary.
It makes you forget
I just
everything.
totally like blank, and I'm
Right, yeah, and then when you watch this back, you're gonna like, duh, I forgot about so and so. It happens all the time. So like I said, I ain't really want to keep you, but I was wondering, since you ready to get back into music, because I know you had a few health problems, and how's your health now? Everything good?
Everything is good. Everything crazy. So yeah, for everyone that doesn't know, I was in the hospital like on and off for 2 weeks recently with like a crazy heart problem.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
I was like hooked up to all these wires, and I really thought I was gonna die. And they were like, "Yeah, I don't know." So
Thank you, hospital.
Thank you. Security.
they were like, you know, your valves, they're just not functioning properly, and if they both close at the same time, your heart's just gonna explode. And I was just like, oh, well, at least it'll be quick. Like, I don't know. But
What hospital is that? It's like hospital hell.
but the good news is I I am on beta blockers, and that takes away the little bit of like irregular heartbeat I have, and the majority of it was actually caused from a vitamin D deficiency.
Wow.
Yeah, it was like really severe. Like now I have to take 50,000 units of vitamin D a week.
Wow.
But yeah, that was
But that's better than
yeah.
Well, that's good. I'm glad we found out, and I'm glad you're doing better and everything. And we I look forward to see. I know all of this because I be on your page stalking you like I do everybody else in here.
Just do
Clarice.
I stalk Ed's page.
Yes,
I
Clarice.
stalk Terrence's page. I stalk Pope's page.
Yep, that's why I blocked you.
I stalk Cynthia's page. Where is he? I stalked Takashi's page.
Sure.
I stalk his page.
Ray, you ain't been on there that much, so I ain't been stalking you lately.
Yeah.
Right.
Same thing, Mary Lee. I know everywhere you been. I know she been to the damn, what's
Virgin
that?
Islands?
Not the Virgin
Oh,
Islands.
sorry.
Ireland.
San Francisco.
What's the other place that's out in the jungle somewhere?
Oh, it's in Honduras.
Honduras.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know everywhere you be. I stalk you too.
Big brother.
Right.
Sharon, you got a Facebook page I can stalk? Okay.
We have ways. We will find you.
I can't stalk her. I stalk Steve. I stalk. Well, Chris ain't on there that much. He just have a page.
I have a page, I have 0 presents.
And he live right by me, so I stalk him live in person. Oh yeah, that's right. He moved.
Where did he move to?
Inkster. And then you have a page, but you don't get on there either.
Not
See, I know about all.
You're not supposed to tell people when you're stalking them.
Well, but since I told you,
Good stalker. I mean, he photobobs every picture I'm in. Who's that guy in the back holding the camera? Oh, that's
I did that to soften the blow. I didn't want you to think it was just you. You know what I mean? I stalk all bass players, and you can interchange the word stalk with follow. You know what I'm saying?
Follow, yeah.
So I follow every. Somebody said, yeah, right.
you're less likely to get an injunction for following. Right.
Officer, he's right down in the basement right now.
Yeah, you're right. I'll change the word to follow you,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna keep following
Less
you.
court orders when you follow.
Right.
You gotta overdub that word every time. Follow.
Okay, so now if anybody else wants to follow you on your Facebook page, do you have one?
Yes, I have a Facebook. It's Penelope Orsargos. You can just go to Big Ives page and you'll find me on his friends list because he follows me.
If you go to Big Ives page, you're going to find out about the green bean fiasco.
Oh yeah. That has nothing to do with the bass. Yeah, you're welcome to come to my page and follow me too. I have 4 pages. Just my regular page, Big Ive Music, Big Ive Films, Big Ive Teaches, and just the regular Ive and Big Ive Williams page. So come on, join me there. Come and stalk me. I don't mind being followed. Don't stalk me. Now I'm starting to. Now I know what it means. Now don't stalk me. Follow me.
You in the grocery store saying, yeah. Is this you in the bathroom? Sorry.
I'm trying to find you.
Oh, I'm just sitting here just looking in the mirror. That's all.
These are some crazy bass players.
O-R-S-A-R.
Follow you? No, I'm not following you.
This is our part.
G-O-S.
There you are.
Now we're gonna put that information at the bottom of the screen so people can do it. Do you have a Twitter also or Instagram?
I don't do Twitter. I do have an Instagram. I believe my name on there is Penelope Joy 0614.
Okay, that's a whole bunch of that numbers, but we can do that. Probably because there's many Penelopes. You know, sometimes they make you write numbers so you can be unique. Before you play us out, is there anything you'd like to say in closing?
I don't know. I guess thanks for having me. This is really cool. I definitely want to come around more now that I know that this is a thing. That's about it.
Okay, so if you want to come around more, and this is for all the other people that may be watching this, we have a page on Facebook called Detroit Bass Players in the Basement, but it's not Detroit Bass Player. It's DPS's apostrophe S. No, it's not apostrophe either. It's just DBPS in the Basement on Facebook. And what we do there now, that we used to just spread this word of mouth, but now we put an event on the page that says when the next event will be. The next one is going to be December 16th, 2017. However, your interview won't be posted until after that date. This will probably be March or April, like I said.
Okay.
But y'all can join us on that page, and you'll see when the next one is. And by all means, come and hang out with us. And you're welcome to come back as many times as you like. As many can attest to, they've been here multiple times. We thank you for coming, and if you could just play us something out, we thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, Penelope. Ah.